Hey guys, what is going on? So today we're going to be taking a look at several different iPhones and seeing which one is the best iPhone for under $100. And I think the answer might surprise you. So basically, I ran another analysis. If you haven't seen my reasons to buy a used iPhone video, I'd recommend watching that because I kind of break down the structure of how I'm going to do these analysis from now on. I actually use raw data and I visualize that data using data visualization tools. So it's a little bit more than just me talking about my opinion. It's more, like fact-based, and I can justify these answers. And basically, I have a strong contender of the best iPhone under $100 that you should definitely buy if you're on a budget. And let's just take a look at that right now. Alright, so welcome back to my Excel sheet. As usual, I'm going to try to be not as boring as possible. So here we go. JK, 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 TTTTYL. Alright, so that's enough of that. So if you look to the left over here, you'll be able to see several different iPhones and prices according to these iPhones. So there were a lot of variables that went into getting these prices. So pretty much we're going to be looking at the price analysis, and I've kind of break it down a little bit further. But the reason that these specific iPhones are in this specific analysis are because these are the only iPhones that I found to be less than $100 and to be somewhat usable. Now, I didn't want to go below an iPhone 5 because this is basically like the ending point. I personally don't think anybody should be having an iPhone 4S or 3GS or whatever. They were great phones at the time, but now I don't think anybody should be having those. And the reason it ends at the SE and the 6 Plus and iPhone 6s and whatever aren't in it is because I couldn't find enough iPhones to be in the analysis to be under $100. So if you don't know, my variables that I use were that it had to be working, no cracked screens, no messed up batteries, no messed up charging ports, cracked screens, whatever. I did not put those in here. So these are all 100% fully functional iPhones. And on top of that, I didn't have any phones that had accessories or anything like that. If they came with original accessories, such as the original charger, the box, or anything, I put it in there. But if it came with a case, Beats headphones or something, I did not put those in here. It would kind of skew the analysis because you're adding more products into one specific thing, so it wouldn't equal out, and it's not fair for all the other products. Now, surprisingly, the 6 Plus, I thought I would find more that were less than 100, but I couldn't. A lot of them did have problems. There were 3 or 4 that were fully working and were around 100, but I couldn't find enough to make it because I used 20 different price points, and I only found 4 or 5 on this point. And the 6S, I found a little bit more, but even then, this is still not fair. I needed to have at least 20, and if I had 3 or 4, that would just not be fair because that's not even comparable to all these other ones. So once we do that, right, I basically just tallied up all these numbers. So these are all just 20 different prices that I took, and I eventually just added all these numbers together, and I've divided them by 20. So iPhone 5 added these all together, divided by 20 because there's 20 different price points. So I took that data and I put it in Tableau, and now we're able to kind of see the average cost of every single iPhone. So if we look over here, we have the iPhone 5 costs $64.39 on average. The iPhone 5C costs $59.90 on average. And what's crazy is the iPhone 5C came out a year after the iPhone 5, but the 5C is cheaper, which kind of furthers my claim that the 5C was probably the worst iPhone ever made. Then we had the 5S at $72.22. The iPhone 6 was the most expensive iPhone that was less than 100, which was $96.74. And the iPhone SE was $86.77. And as you can see, the iPhone 6 was the most expensive, and the iPhone 5C was the least expensive out of the pool of data that I chose. And again, these prices are average. I'm sure you can find iPhones that are more expensive and less expensive than the prices I listed here. So I took these numbers, right, and I was like, how am I going to compare these iPhones to one another? There's really no standard way that I thought. I can't just compare them on just the specs because the numbers are just different and the processes are different. So if one iPhone does a certain thing, then the other iPhone probably can do the certain thing because of the specs and all that. So with that, I figured the only proper way of comparing all of these iPhones, and it's not the best way, but it's a universal guideline that I could have used for all these iPhones, and I figured the best way to do that would be using a benchmark. Now, I personally do own every single one of these phones, so I benchmarked them super easily. I just reran the benchmarks and I got the scores, but I'm sure some of you guys aren't in the position to own all these phones, so I just kind of did that for you, and I got all those scores, right? So I ran those benchmarks, and these are the scores that I got. So and these are all multi-core scores. I got 23,724 for my iPhone 5, and I didn't even think it was that low. I thought it'd be around 35,000, 40,000, but it was 23. The 5C is 30,043. The 5S is 64,378, and look at that jump between the 5C and the 5S. The 5S is so much faster than the 5C, it's crazy. The iPhone 6 is 79,190, and the iPhone SE is a 148,076. Now look at that huge jump. The iPhone 6 costs more, but the iPhone SE is just so much more of a powerful device. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that the iPhone SE is a better device just off the score, but it does mean for this analysis, but it does lead us in the direction of it being a contender for the greatest iPhone under $100. And another thing I do want to note, I should have mentioned this earlier, but I threw out all the variables like size and screen body ratio and all that stuff. I threw that all away for this analysis because those are all personal opinions. And I can literally sit up here and talk about my opinions all day. I'm sure you guys all hear my opinions every time I talk. But I wanted to throw my assumptions out there too, because if it was for me, I do like having a bigger phone, but this is not about the size. This is more about, on average, every single thing about the phone. So then going ahead, we had these multi-core scores, right? And we had the average prices. So like, what can we do to basically, rank these phones to figure out which one is the best value per dollar? And to pretty much answer that, all I did was I took the multi-core score, okay? So let's say the iPhone 5, I took 23,724 and I divided that by the average cost. So the 6439, I took the 22,000, divided that by the 6439, and then I would get that number. And I did that for all the scores here. And that pretty much tells us every dollar we spend, how much power and how much of a phone we're getting out of every dollar we put into that phone. And again, I took out all those variables like getting a phone for like $1, getting a phone for free. Those things don't really happen on average. So in this analysis, we're just assuming that you're paying for it and you're getting it on eBay, because I did get all those numbers off of eBay. So I ranked those value per dollar and I put it in a separate sheet. And what's surprising is look how similar this value per dollar looks to the scores, and there's a huge difference that you will see, which is kind of embarrassing. If you go from the scores to ranking, you'll see that the iPhone SE is the best value per dollar iPhone out there. But what else you'll notice is that the iPhone 6 ranks lower in my analysis than the iPhone 5S. So the iPhone 6 is $819, but the iPhone 5S is $891. And isn't that crazy? The iPhone 5S is so much of an older phone, but the iPhone 6 is a newer phone, but it costs more, but it doesn't bring too much power. Now, the reason the iPhone 6 is lower than the iPhone 5S is because the power difference between the scores isn't that much. You can see that they're not, compared to the 6 to the SE, that's a huge power jump. But between these two, there's not a lot. Now, if we look at the cost, you'll see that the iPhone 6 is way more expensive than the iPhone 5S. And it's more expensive than the iPhone SE too. So the iPhone 6 held its value pretty well. But compared to my analysis, the iPhone 5S is actually a better phone value per dollar than the iPhone 6, which is pretty crazy to think, because the 5S, we think, oh my god, that phone's so old, this and that. But the iPhone 6, we don't really think. We know the iPhone 6 is old, but we're not like, we think the 5S is way older than the iPhone 6, at least I do. So based off my analysis, I found that the iPhone SE is the best value per dollar iPhone out there. It is the best iPhone you can get for less than $100. And my assumption is the same too. Even though I like a bigger phone, I just, I would rather have the speed and power than a bigger sized phone. So I completely agree with this analysis. The iPhone SE is the best iPhone out there. I did rank it a little bit differently in this. It's the same numbers, but I just kind of viewed it a little bit differently. These are just in circles this way. It kind of reminds me of Loco Roca. I don't know about you guys, but you can see again, the iPhone SE is the biggest circle. The iPhone 5S is the second, and the iPhone 6, 5C, and 5 are the lowest. And I'm just surprised. I'm still surprised when I look at this. I try to keep this as accurate as possible, and I was not expecting this to. I thought it would be like exactly how it was with the scores, that the ranking would be the same, but it wasn't. The iPhone 5S is actually ranked higher than the iPhone 6. So if you guys have any questions or anything, leave it down in the comment section below. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, I'd love to know. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed the video, but definitely hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. I'm actually thinking about making a website for analysis that I make and uploading my worksheets and Excel sheets up there so you guys can check it out. Maybe manipulate the data if you want to, if you're into that stuff. If not, that's fine too. I might do it actually. Definitely expand the description. Check out the links I post down there. All my stuff, my second channel, SoundCloud, all that stuff is down there. I'd really appreciate if you guys could check it out. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. And hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.